Our next group of speakers then will be speaker number 13, Raquel Macias, followed by speaker 15, Ivan de Alba, then speaker 17, Lashana Moore, and then speaker 18, please, Mary Hughes. Last call for Raquel Macias. Last call for Ivan de Alba.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ivan de Alba. I graduated from Whitney Young and received a BA at psychology at
Could you
Pomona
speak
College.
a little bit more into the microphone? You're difficult
Yes,
to get.
sorry about
Thank
that.
you.
Yes, so I'm here today to speak about potentially bringing mindfulness programs to the CPS. From what I've seen through my own experience in high school, in college, and then also working with residential youth programs with teens that are in crisis, they seem to be lacking three essential things: attention, balance, and compassion. So I'm here today to speak to you guys about this, to see how we can potentially, bring into our current education to teach kids, teach parents, teach community members, teach everyone how to learn through love and not fear. Because sometimes it seems that kids nowadays are going through their everyday school thinking that they have to do a certain something. So, mindfulness may be the next step in education, and to completely reform education may be the next step. Introducing a whole different philosophy, a philosophy of focusing on three essential things, among other important principles. And I know this is a huge step, but it's the basic step that we must all take up on this journey in which to reform what education needs nowadays. And here I am speaking to you guys. I'm being mindful in the way I'm forming my words and putting my expression into my thoughts. And nowadays, it seems that in my neighborhood, there's a lot of kids who are just going around living their lives as they've been taught, being conformists, believing that they must live a certain path in their culture. However, here we are, we must now introduce something new to this life of ours.
Mr. de Alba, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Yes, I will conclude.
Thank you.
Here I am just putting my ideas, my thoughts out, and hopefully this may spark some interest in every single one of us, not just myself, not just the Board of Education, not just those who are in attendance, but every one of us, to be more mindful of how we live our lives, to be more peaceful with ourselves, to be more peaceful with those around us, and not to just focus on loving that which is around us, but with that which is inside us.
Thank you, Mr. de Alba.
That's the first step to bringing about a change in life.
Thank you, Mr. de Alba. Our next speaker, please. Speaker number 17, Lashana Moore.
Hello and good morning. Hi, my name is LaShanya Moore, and I have two children attending Dewey School of Excellence. This is our first year as an AUSL turnaround. I came here to thank you for the turnaround. This year, my experience has been very positive. In prior years, I was not focused on my kids' attendance, but this year I've learned how important it is for my kids to be at school every day and on time. Now, both of my children have 99% attendance for the school year thus far. I like the fact that the school gives them positive incentives to come to school, and I love the fact that they are encouraged to talk and learn about the importance of college, not just high school. All students have been trained to maintain themselves, to look, act, and be excellent as a scholar. I have seen my fourth grader improve, especially in math. This past spring, when he took the NWEA test, he met his goal and gained points in reading and math. His scores increased dramatically. I'm impressed. Their teachers let me know ahead of time of any updates. They go by a color chart to track their behavior and goals. The teachers and I have shared contact information, and they notify me immediately and keep me informed. They include me in classroom activities and everything involving my children. Our principal acknowledges all the classes that meet their goal of 97%. He even has his own little song to get the kids excited about coming to school. I also want to mention our parent resource teacher at the CPC, Mrs.
Moore.
Rogers.
Mrs. Moore, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Yes.
Thank you.
She's a motivating force in guiding parents to be the best they can in order to provide a stable environment for our children. Overall, everyone from the principal to the staff is very inviting, open, and serious about our children's education.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, please, Mary Hughes. As Ms. Hughes approaches the microphone, the next group of speakers then will be speaker number 19, Elizabeth Mondragon, followed by speaker 27, Veronica Rodriguez, and then speaker number 20, William Palmer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Hughes, and I'm here representing the Cassell community and families who have children with special needs in the 19th Ward. To address overcrowding at Cassell, you granted us an 8-classroom modular addition that is scheduled to be constructed this summer. However, because of the limited funding within the budget, Cassell is unable to afford additional staff to fully utilize that addition, and will be forced to leave 3 classrooms in the library empty due to lack of staff. Cassell is a relatively small Level 1 Fine Arts Magnet Elementary School with a projected enrollment of 380 students. It's in the unusual position of having several grades with too many students to have 1 classroom and too few students per grade, and too few students to afford 2 full classrooms per grade. Cassell faced dramatic cuts last year with the loss of the drama teacher and librarian and was forced to create split grade level classrooms for 4 grade levels. While per pupil funding is supposed to be equitable in theory for a small school like Cassell that does not qualify for Title I funding, per pupil funding is absolutely inadequate to address the needs of the student body. The fact is, almost 87% of Chicago public schools receive significant extra funding through Title I, and that monetary disparity and inequity in funding can make or break a school's budget, especially a small neighborhood school like Cassell. Cassell needs 4 additional positions. With these 4 positions, the administration at Cassell will be able to maintain classrooms for individual grade levels and restore our librarian position.
Ms. Hughes, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Yes. I want to make a few comments about the autism room. For many reasons, there was an implied promise by CPS that Cassell would be getting an intermediate autism cluster program in conjunction with the addition. I've given you letters from the parents of 3 4th grade boys who were told by the Office of Diverse Learners that their children would be transferred elsewhere next year. Dr. Winston is scheduled to attend our next LSC meeting, and I'm hopeful that CPS will take this unique opportunity to expand instructional options for our kids who need such a setting in the 19th Ward.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, please, Elizabeth Mondragon.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Elizabeth Mondragón. Soy madre de un estudiante en la High School Roosevelt y de Comunidades Unidas por una Educación de Calidad, CUCE.
I'll be translating for her. Her name is Elizabeth Mondragon. I am the mother of a student at Roosevelt High School and member of Communities United for Quality Education, CUCE.
Como una nueva miembro del concilio escolar, estoy frustrada, enojada y por el trato que CPS le está dando a nuestros estudiantes. El año pasado, Roosevelt sufrió de un recorte presupuestario de más de $800,000. Nuevamente, nuestra escuela sufrirá de un recorte de más de $500,000 para el año próximo.
As a new member at the LSC, I'm frustrated, angry about the treatment CPS has given to our students. Last year, Roosevelt suffered budget cuts of more than $800,000. Again, our school will suffer of more than $500,000 more this upcoming school year.
Basta ya el suprimir la educación de nuestros hijos. Esto mismo está destruyendo la enseñanza y la motivación de aprendizaje. La propuesta actual eliminará programas, despedirá maestros, personal de seguridad y personal de la cafetería.
Enough with leaving out our children from education. This is destroying the ability to teach and the motivation for them to learn. The budget proposal right now, it will eliminate programs, fire teachers, security staff, and cafeteria personnel for the upcoming school year.
¿Cómo es que CPS exige que nos mantengamos en nivel 2 si nos siguen quitando y desestabilizando nuestras comunidades. ¿Cómo es que el alcalde y CPS le está dando prioridades a las familias de clase media con una escuela selectiva de 600 millones e ignorando la falta de recursos en nuestras escuelas de color? El alcalde y ustedes, CPS, tienen que ser responsables de sus actos y de la falta de prioridad que le dan a escuelas de la comunidad como Roosevelt.
And she's wrapping up how there, CPS, you require that we keep our level 2 status if you keep removing funds and destabilizing our communities. How is it that the mayor and you have priority to middle-class families with a $60 million selective high school while ignoring the lack of resources in our neighborhood schools? The mayor and you, CPS, must be accountable for the actions and the lack of priority given to neighborhood schools like Roosevelt.
Thank you, Ms. Madragon. Our next speaker, please, Veronica Rodriguez.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Verónica Rodríguez, soy madre de un estudiante en la Roosevelt High School y vengo también con la comunidad Unidas por una Educación de Calidad.
And I'll be translating. Her name is Veronica Rodriguez. Veronica, she's a parent from a student at Roosevelt High School as well and with Kuke.
Estoy realmente decepcionada por todo lo que está sucediendo en la escuela con los recortes de dinero. Esos recortes también se van maestros, seguridad, programas que son importantes para los estudiantes.
I'm really disappointed about what's going on with our school and the budget cuts. As she mentioned, budget cuts will lose. With budget cuts, we will be losing parents, teachers, security, and programs.
No es posible que los estudiantes tengan que utilizar sus celulares porque no tienen acceso suficiente a la tecnología, que no tengan suficientes libros. Se están perdiendo estudiantes ya que no hay motivación para continuar.
How is it possible that our students are using their own cell phones because there's not sufficient technology investment in our school? We don't have enough books, and we are losing our students, knowing that there's a lack of motivation to continue.
Todos los jóvenes son nuestra responsabilidad porque ellos van a las comunidades, son nuestro futuro. Como padres nos toca mandarlos a la escuela listos para aprender y a las escuelas les toca estar preparadas para enseñar.
As parents, our role is to send them ready to learn. As the school, the role is to prepare them to learn.
Por derecho, todos los estudiantes merecen una educación de calidad y el corte de fondos viola este derecho. Les pido que reconsideren el recorte de fondos y sus prioridades.
By right, our students deserve a quality education, and the budget cuts are violating this right. I am asking you to reconsider the budget cuts for the upcoming school year and your priorities as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please, William Palmer. Last call. Moving on to the next speakers, Mr. President, will be speaker number 21, please, Vicky Enciso, followed by the group from the Edwards Elementary School, and their designated speaker will be speaker 22, Liliana Hernandez, followed by their other designated speaker, speaker 46, Erica Cardenas. Vicky Enciso, please.
Good afternoon, CPS, Board of Education. Sorry, just a little nervous. My name is Vicky Enciso. I am a parent of 2 Noble School students. My 2 youngest are not yet at a Noble. Is in 8th grade and will be attending the Noble Academy campus in the fall. And my daughter is in 6th grade, so 6th grade. So we'll see what holds for her. I do have to say that as a parent, and you know how tough of a job that is for me. It is great to know that we have high quality options for our children. However, it was tough when he was in 8th grade. I was not sure for the options. I was afraid for what I saw in my family and neighborhood. It was everything but going to college. I know something had to be different, and I need Martin to open the doors for his younger brothers and sister. I am happy with the decision I made for my children and proud to share he will graduate from Pritzker next week and will be attending Lutheran College in Iowa with over $108,000 in scholarships, thanks to his Noble school teachers. It's just one of over 1,000 Noble seniors graduating in June. I share my story as a parent, a proud Noble mom, and a member of our community. I know my fellow charter school parents are here today to ask for equal facility funding, and I stand with them today. And I ask for your support. Equal funding will help our schools continue the great work happening today. I look forward to working together, non-selective, non-charter, traditional and selective. It doesn't matter. It is all about our children of Chicago. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Francisco. Our next speaker, please, Speaker 22, Lilana Hernandez. Last call. Last call for Erica Cardenas. Moving on to the next speaker, Mr. President, will be speaker number 23, David Moore, followed by speaker 25, Arnold Steiber, and speaker 26, please, Michelle Clark. Mr. David Moore. Last call. Last call for Arnold Steiber.
Good morning. My name is Arnie Stieber. I'm a father, grandfather, retired CEO with an MBA, and an Army infantry veteran from the U.S. war against the people of Vietnam. I'm here today to speak to you about violence. The violence of the military model that is being taught to over 10,000 of our children by your cadet programs, junior ROTC programs, and your military schools. This past weekend, I was immersed in militarism. It began on Friday with an action against torture at Guantanamo Bay. On Saturday, I stood along the parade route holding a sign of peace. I watched military vehicles, a militarized fire department, militarized marching bands, and most upsetting, wave after wave of mostly dark-skinned children in military uniforms pass by. On Sunday, I attended a vet drama course for mostly young veterans. On Monday, I spoke at a remembrance of all those killed by the futility of war. Following that, I visited the National Veterans Art Museum, where vets have space to publicly display the real effects of war. After that, I attended a barbecue with mostly young vets, virtually all of them dealing with the after effects of implementing the military solution to conflict. Later this week, I will be administering to homeless vets at a stand-down. When Martin Luther King asked street gangs why they committed violence, they told him that they were following the example of their government. From that moment on, he said, I knew that I could never again raise my voice against violence without first having spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world.
Mr. Steiber, excuse me, can you please conclude?
I sure can.
Thank you.
I knew that I could never again raise my voice against violence without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, my own government. You are part of that government. You are part of the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. You are directly responsible for the indoctrination of children into the concept of violence solves problems, and the military model is the American way.
Thank you, Mr. Steiber.
The military model
Mr.
is about
Steiber.
turning off your brain and doing as you're ordered. The military model has no place in CPS.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please, Michelle Clark. Last call for Michelle Clark. Moving on, Mr. President, to the next speakers will be speaker number 28, Geraldine Johnson, followed by speaker 30, Joel Goodwin, and then speaker 31, George Smith. And then we have the group from the Chicago Tech Academy, and they have identified 2 designated speakers, and that would be speaker 29, Terry Howerton, and speaker 42, Tommy Johnson. Geraldine Johnson, please.
Good morning. My name is Geraldine Johnson. The process of voting empowers people, and it is one of the fundamental rights of our democracy. Voting is more powerful than advisory participation. I, a citizen and taxpayer, do believe that the members of the Chicago Board of Education should be elected by the voters. The persons elected will represent their communities, sit as equals to communicate ideas, and engage in planning and problem solving. Secondly, I perceive problems of accountability and transparent with current board's financial status. This governing body states that CPS is in debt, but questions are raised. Where are the audit reports and recommendations? How can the taxpayers obtain copies of these documents? Is there mathematical evidence regarding projected savings? Schools are closed to save money. Others are open that spend money. What are the priorities? For example, the board proposes to move to a different building and to spend $9.5 million for furniture. Yet there are schools that do not have the following resources: equitable science and computer laboratories, music and/or art teachers, funding for specific programs to meet the particular needs of the schools. For example, conflict resolution, mentoring, and programs that build self and community esteem, feelings of control of destiny, and conation. As was indicated, the Department of Education report also indicated inequities and disparities in access to education, and these were racially marked.
Ms.
I do
Johnson?
believe boards,
Ms. Johnson?
school boards are needed that do not gloss over the differences in education opportunities, but seek the hard task of reducing and ending the inequalities. The school boards need to use empirical evidence and research rather than ideologies to assist in decision-making. Bear with me. Recently, I read the book, The Public School Advantage, Why Public Schools Outperform Private Schools, by Christopher and Sarah Lubinsky, professors of education at the University of Illinois. The
Thank
book-
you, Ms. Johnson.
Almost finished. The book focuses on mathematical achievement in the
Johnson?
public and private school sector.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please. Jill Goodwin. Moving on to speaker 31, please, George Schmidt.
Good morning. My name is George Schmidt, and I've been coming here for a long time, since before some of you were even thinking about Chicago Public Schools, I'm sure. I was going to speak about some negative things today, but I really have some good news I want to share, so I'm going to give this to the Secretary to share with you. This is how the board can save $40 to $100 million on its facilities. If you would, please. What I'm holding up is a photograph of a building that the board has kept in limbo for the past 7 or 8 years, the Near North Career Magnet High School building. This building is on Larrabee Street, less than a mile from the site where you propose to spend a lot of money to build Barack Obama High School. So I'm sure that you're happy to know that all you have to do is utilize this site and this building, which is still in the public domain, and not to spend all that money, which could be used elsewhere in the city for other facilities needs. This is a picture. You can drive by it as I did this morning, and then you can ask yourself, why are we going to build a new building at a cost of $40 to $100 million, and I bet it comes in closer to $100 million, than to utilize this facility, which is already a public facility. That's number one. Number two, it's been a lot of fun collecting the Orwellian locutions that you use to describe things. My favorite is true facts, which several of you use to describe your version of reality when someone from the community gets up, as I just did, and said, this is the truth.
Mr. Schmidt, excuse me, can you please conclude?
You know, I'd be glad to, but the other Schmidt speaker is not here, so I got something to give out for her, if you don't mind. Sharon Schmidt is the, if you would please, Madam Secretary, I have something for you to distribute. Sharon Schmidt is currently busy at Steinmetz High School, where she's putting out the final issue of the award-winning Steinmetz Star for the graduating class, and therefore couldn't be here today. If I could use at least one of her 2 minutes, I'd read what she has to say.
Got a minute, George.
Thanks. The top public high school, and this is my wife speaking now, she gave me this. The top public high school newspapers in this spring's McCormick Media Foundation Awards were Morgan Park and Steinmetz. Many of the city's private schools and most of the selective enrollment schools enter that annual contest. However, it was these two neighborhood schools that took the top honors and most awards for reporting and photography. In addition, the Steinmetz Star's editor-in-chief, Michael Amaya, was awarded Student Journalist of the Year. Few neighborhood high schools in Chicago budget for printed newspapers. However, when they do, everyone in the school benefits. Writing, research, and communication skills for the students in the journalism classes improve immensely when they're working towards this authentic purpose. In addition, the great work of students and staff in the schools in academics and extracurriculars are highlighted in the paper. The school's real stories can be told, which go way beyond the simplistic reporting metrics that the board members use. We urge the board to value scholastic journalism and make sure that schools get the budget for school newspapers and their sponsors, just as every school should be budgeted for a librarian in order to actually have a library.
Mr. Schmidt?
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next group of speakers are from the Chicago Tech Academy. Designated speaker Terry Howerton and also Tommy Johnson, please. Speaker 42.
President Vitale and the other distinguished members of the board, I rise today in enthusiastic support of the Chicago Tech Academy, a much closer partnership between that school and CPS, and a new national partnership with the renowned High Tech High team. I speak on behalf of more than 120 companies that have an extraordinary relationship with Chicago Tech Academy, donating $1.7 million to the unique curriculum that's focused there on real hands-on technology development skills and fostering an entrepreneurial spirit amongst the students. I rise on behalf of hundreds of area professionals that have invested thousands of hours of mentoring time, provided internships and job shadowing to a student population that frankly otherwise would have never benefited from such community support. Chicago Tech Academy is a very unique school that connects and inspires students with the social capital, unlike many of the schools I've ever seen in the CPS portfolio. It's been recognized nationally for the ambitious extracurricular focus and engagement with students. Students have met and worked side by side with entrepreneurs, C-suite executives from Fortune 500 companies, engineers and designers from the leading tech companies throughout Chicago. There's no doubt we could and should have seen much better academic outcomes. There is much that Chicago Tech Academy could have learned about basic academic success through a closer collaboration with CPS, particularly in our early years. But there's also very much that CPS can be proud of in the innovative approach that ChiTech has taken, aspects of the program that could be replicated and expanded to other parts of CPS. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm one who believes very strongly in the shared responsibility of the commons, a shared obligation and for opportunity and prosperity for the entire community. It's for that reason that I supported ChiTech, and it's the people like the supporters of Chicago Tech Academy that CPS needs to step up and share the load with teachers and support all schools. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to tell you that the process wasn't without fraught, that it wasn't without concern.
Mr. Howerton, excuse me, can you please conclude?
But that's not what we're here for today. The purpose of today is to celebrate and announce two things. One, the establishment of an academic excellence committee with two of the most heralded principals from all of Chicago joining our board. And secondly, the partnership with High Tech High out of San Diego, which is going to strengthen our school in ways that I think you can be very proud of.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please, Tommy Johnson.
Hello there. My name is Tommy Johnson, and I'm a sophomore at Chicago Tech Academy. I am here today to express my support of the contract renewal and partnership between Chicago Tech Academy and High Tech High. This partnership and the work that the students and the staff have done shows that the school is willing to adapt to any obstacle we face and make the changes needed to become an even better school. Being able to be successful and adapt to change in the face of severe adversity is one of the reasons this school will be a success, especially with the aid of High Tech High. There has been so much that the Chicago Tech Academy has provided me as it relates to academic success and opportunities to gain real-world experience and network with executives from CNA, SAP, and CompTIA. I have faith in the school's decision to partner with High Tech High, and I strongly encourage the CPS Board of Directors to vote in favor of it. And I would just like to point out that thanks to this school, in the past 2 months, I've been able to win due to competitions $2,650, that being a $1,500 scholarship for college, and several other opportunities that had I gone to some other school would not have had.
Thank you, Mr. Hartson. And Mr. Harton, I want to thank you and all your colleagues in the tech community for supporting Chicago Tech. It's we really look forward to getting even stronger and better going forward. Appreciate your engagement with our school.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next speakers then will be speaker number 33, Jonathan Jackson, followed by speaker 35, Christina Thurston, then speaker number 37, Vivian Young, speaker 39, Christopher Swanson. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, President Vitale. I come and would like to make remarks on behalf of all of the schools that are not able to be present today, those that have been discouraged because of this process that we have found very difficult to have a sit-down meeting and discussion. We believe in a school choice, but the actions that have happened over the last several years have been school force, brute force, actions that have been imposed upon certain neighborhood schools and not others. And there appears to be a pattern here. Number one, if it's a wealthier, whiter school in Lincoln Park, their LSCs are heard. If it's a fire and police community on the northwest side, southwest side, their actions are delayed and they're on the waiting list for 10 to 15 years for school facilities. If it's in a Hispanic or black community, military schools are put in place, school closings are put in place, and charters and privatizations are put in place, all within the same city. School action and funding is something I would like to address. At Abraham Lincoln Elementary School, in the last year, they received $1 million to increase their cafeteria. And now that's going to be torn out in 3 weeks because of the board's plan, and in turn build a $20 million annex where $1 million was just spent on a cafeteria while other schools wait. Libraries were put into Gresham Elementary School, and in turn, no librarian was furnished. And then the schools are told that they're failing. I would say respectfully that the board failed to provide adequate funding and services to these teachers. I heard the painful testimony from those at Hanson Elementary today, Colosso Elementary, Roosevelt Elementary, and I find it rather peculiar that within the same year that 50 elementary schools were targeted for closing on the south and the west sides of the city, been
Mr.
allocated
Jackson?
for, I will be concluding
Mr.
shortly,
Jackson, thank you.
for extension to Abraham Lincoln Elementary School when they did not want it and may not necessarily need it. We have a high turnover rate of our public school teachers. I think, and not a teacher takeover, but a teacher turnaround. Give the principals and the teachers the assistance that they're asking for. Our ultimate goal has to be to let the teachers and the parents in the community. At the root of this is violence.
Mr.
And I'm
Jackson?
saying these actions from the schools are creating violence respectfully, sir.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with you in the future.
Our next speaker, please. Speaker 35, Christina Thurston.
Ms. Bird Bennett and Mr. Vitale, this is Mr. Jackson, chairperson. This is a response to you all letter to the school.
Speaker 35, please. Moving on to the next speaker. Speaker 17, Vivian Young, last call. 37? Vivian Young, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Vivian Young, and I'm a grandparent of a student of Miles Davis Magnet. everyone should have a package like this I left downstairs, and what in this packet, it has emails and letters from a variety of parents. I'm here to advocate for the parents of Miles Davis. Parents are not allowed to volunteer inside of Miles Davis, and I understand that Section 1118 also states that parents can volunteer in the classroom. Also, CPS, our vision says that Pillar 3 says that parents can volunteer in the classroom, and also Miles Davis did not have a PAC until May of 2013. For 2 years, I was reaching out to our network in order to help us get a PAC at Miles Davis. We did not get a PAC at Miles Davis until Mr. Shannon of the LSC Relations helped us to establish our PAC. Once our PAC was up and running for the first time, Miles Davis was in compliance with there at the school, and the parents came out. But before that, let me back up. The principal said that Miles Davis did not have a PAC because she could not get parents' participation. What she failed to say was that she was not informing the parents that what PAC was and giving them information about the PAC. So, of course, if you don't know what anything is, you cannot participate in it. Once we had a PAC up and running, then we were shut out. We no longer could the time. We wanted to have PAC at 3 o'clock. She says, no, you can't have it at 3 o'clock, 3:30. Well, school is out at 2:45. What parents are going to leave, pick up their kids at 2:45, come back at 3:30? So we had to reach out to the network office. Mr. Underdew had to come into the school and say, okay, Principal Belt, you must let the parents in at 3 o'clock.
Ms. Young, Ms.
Yes.
Young, can you please conclude?
Okay.
Thank you.
And then we have a CIWP. My name was placed on the CIWP team, and I had no idea that it was on there. Then with the CIWP team, one is given to the LSC to approve, and another one is given to CPS, and they're two totally different teams. Everything's supposed to be transparent. I don't see any transparency in this at all, and especially when you say parents should be partners, equal partners with the school. Where's the equal partnership in that?
Thank you, Ms.
Parents
Young.
need to be involved.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Our next speaker, please, Christopher Swanson. Last call. Moving on to the next speakers. Speaker number 40, Okima Lewis, followed by speaker 44, Patricia Henderson. Speaker 47, Carolyn Kelly. Speaker 48, Evangel Yanubian. Okima Lewis. Last call. Patricia Henderson.
Yes, my name is Patricia Henderson. I'm from Gresham School. I am the local school there. LSC Vice Chair. I'm here today to speak on the behalf of the funding that I have seen happen for the last 8 years, Barbara, at Gresham. It has decreased every year for the last 8 years. I'm a little nervous right now. I'm nervous because I'm not used to speaking. But I'm asking you, Barbara, please consider Gresham School from not being a turnaround school. I have 4 kids that go to Gresham, grandkids. After my stroke, I could not teach a second grader how to read or anything. Since she's been going to Gresham School, the teachers have helped me a lot to get back up on my feet and to help my grandkids, help to read my letters and everything, Barbara. My second grader is above average. 3 reading levels above. Anything that you put before her, Barbara, she can read it. My letters and everything that comes to the house, she the one that helps me. That's due to Gresham School teachers. I have seen the change in all 4 of my grandchildren. So would you all consider, please, putting some funding in there, keeping the teachers that have became parents when I could not be a parent to my grandchildren, please.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Our next speaker, please, Carolyn Kelly. Last call for Carolyn Kelly. Moving on to the next speaker, Speaker 48, Evangel Yanubian, followed by Speaker 50, Rosemary Vega, and then Speaker 54, Queen's Sister, and then Speaker 55, Gloria Burgos, please.
Good afternoon. A kid is a goat, an animal beast with 4 legs. A child is a human being person with 2 legs. We give respect to a dog. Come here, boy. Come here, girl. Children also have an inalienable right to be called human beings. My question is directed at Ms. Bennett. When I was here in March, you said that you would give a written answer to my question regarding the Board of Education and the Black History curriculum. I have not received anything from you. Today I have a different question. You mentioned the Males of Color initiative. We presently have a male of color in the White House from the south side of Chicago. I would like to know what can be done to reconsider the north side location of the school to be the selective enrollment school to be named after President Barack Obama and put it on the south side where he is from, particularly considering that you have this Males of Color initiative that would certainly be a boost to their self-esteem. An answer, please. Anybody? I guess justice delayed is justice denied, like silence is ignored and rude and not becoming to this board.
Our next speaker, please, Speaker number 50, Rosemary Vega.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Vega, and Vitali, I honestly can't believe you're just falling asleep right there. That's how much respect you got for us, that you're just falling asleep. Is that why you give us 2 minutes? Is that why when we call your office for business hours, you give me 15 miserable minutes? 15 minutes? That's why I didn't come. That's why I'd rather get kicked out of the board meeting every month for 2 minutes for the next how many years you got of life, because you're just unbelievable. And I'm here today to tell you how racist you are. Yes, very racist. You know, how dare you? How dare you allow a question to come on a test that had to do about illegals or not illegals? When are we going to put on that test that illegal immigrants pay billions of dollars in the United States and no one talks about that? So can we please erase that question, paragraph, whatever the hell it is on that test needs to be removed. Because what kind of monsters have you guys become to allow such thing? Right? You sit here and you mock us and you do what you want to do. You fall asleep. You play on your phones. You do all this other stuff. You laugh at us like we're crazy, but guess what? I might seem crazy, but I'm a lot crazier than you think, and I'm going to continue to keep coming and coming and coming. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I tell you one thing right now, Dave Vitali, you failed. You failed. How can we do what you're doing to schools? Because the same way you're saying to schools are failing and you're straight shutting doors, how can we shut your door?
Thank you, Ms. Vega. Our
and
next
when
speaker,
parents
please.
ask you for answers, we don't ask you for a moment of silence. We're asking you for questions, and you should respond to that.